What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Marilyn Monroe. At one point in time, Marilyn Monroe was the most photographed human being in history, and perhaps at the time, the most famous person on earth. Even more famous or more well-known or more popular than the president at the time. So her death in August of 1962 made global headlines and stunned the world. She was only 36 years of age. And at the time, the official determination of her death was that she unalived purposes. But there's always been some suspicion as to whether or not there were more nefarious forces that were involved in her passing. Famed coroner Thomas Noguchi, now 98 years of age and full of regrets, is telling the startling truth about what really went down behind the scenes of the August 4th, 1962 lover of then President John F. Kennedy and his brother, Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy. The coroner who performed the autopsy on Marilyn Monroe is breaking his 63-year silence to reveal he never agreed that the cause of her death was a self-unaliving and was even prohibited from probing into whether the tragic blonde bombshell was murdered, possibly to silence her from spilling secrets about the politically powerful Kennedy clan. He has given his shocking, unvarnished account to Ann Sun Choi, author of the new book, L.A. Coroner, Thomas Noguchi, and Death in Hollywood, in which he admits that the autopsy was never fully and properly performed, that evidence quickly went missing, and that he was not on board with the official and hasty ruling of death by self-unaliving. He also claims he was not allowed to further investigate how a body that was found surrounded by bottles of powerful sedatives did not have any visual evidence of pills inside the stomach and small intestine. As previously reported, Monroe was said to have been carrying President Kennedy's baby and threatened after he dumped her, as he ran from the scandal, that she would tell the world about her abortion, giving the Kennedys what sources say was ample motive to see her silenced. Cho writes that Noguchi quickly became suspicious, especially when he pressed for the actress's stomach contents and organs to be further tested, only to learn that head toxicologist Raymond Abernathy, quote, disposed of them once the coroner's report was issued. Without a complete analysis, it was impossible to rule out that Monroe had died from injection rather than by swallowing pills. Also, Choi writes, Noguchi feared that if the autopsy was somehow or someday proven shoddy, ultimately, as the pathologist who conducted the physical autopsy, he would be held responsible. Noguchi was especially troubled because he was only 35 years old at the time, a newbie in the department and still on probation, when he was oddly assigned the task of examining the corpse of arguably the most famous person in the world, definitely the most famous woman in the world, instead of such a high-profile case going to Chief Coroner Theodore Chirpy. Writes Choi, why would the Chief Coroner have passed on such an opportunity? Noguchi couldn't shake the sense of uneasiness that had dogged him since the beginning. Was there a chance that she was murdered? Was he a pawn in a cover-up? There's always been these rumors that Marilyn Monroe was taken out by, very important people. She knew a lot of secrets. I think I even mentioned in a video a couple of weeks ago. I think I was talking about Marilyn Monroe. I think it was earlier this month. It was the anniversary of her passing, and I think I said in the video that she had reportedly been threatening to write a book because I think she was starting to realize that her career was winding down. Not that it was over, but she was getting into her late 30s. At that point in time, we didn't have all of these um, high, and these very advanced processes to rejuvenate or to extend beauty. She was starting to show little signs of aging, which is unfair, because it's just how it is. But anyway, um, she was, she had gone through a lot at that point, man. And while you could also argue it's wrong for a woman like her to be dating married men, at the same time, the way that I've read about how some of these guys treated her was screwed up. Like, I don't know if this is common knowledge, but even in death, apparently she was violated. I don't know if this is common knowledge, but Marilyn Monroe's body uh, went missing for something like a day or something like that. It went missing for a couple of several hours, and reportedly, uh, I think what had happened was some sickos had paid top dollar to basically get off to her corpse before the funeral. And that's some sick shit, man. Even in death, she was violated. I tell y'all wonder why I have such low regard for the people in Hollywood, for people that supposedly are these great people who, people cheer for. These people are scum, man. All these people are scum of the earth. Even back then, they were scum of the earth. Producers, directors, they were PDF files back then, but it was more, if anything, it was more open because we didn't have camera phones and, people didn't have social media to vent their frustrations and to, you know, expose certain stuff. But yeah, man, supposedly Marilyn Monroe was threatening to write a book. I heard rumors that she was carrying either JFK's or RFK's baby. I don't know exactly which one it was. Um, the rumors and the stories I've heard, and like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean it's true, but this definitely gives credence to it. The rumor I've heard is that it was RFK that set up this situation. It was RFK, and basically they gave Marilyn a shot, and they set up the scene to make it look like it was an overdose. And she also had this red book that went missing. It was a diary. It was a diary where she was writing certain things that were very. Um, it was stuff that nobody wanted to put out there. So, they got rid of her. And if that is the case, that happened, then, I hate to say it like this, but if they did get rid of her, then what happened on November 22nd, 1963, and June 6th, 1968, well, although tragic, was it karma? Was it karma for a lot of other things that the administration had been dishing out to other people, uh, other nations, as far as our foreign policy, getting rid of other country's leaders and putting in puppets in place that, think would acquiesce to American interests and things of that nature. But anyway, getting a little bit off subject here, man. But Marilyn Monroe didn't deserve that, man. She was in her nature a really good person, but she was, violated a lot toward the end of her life, man. She was totally treated like a complete sex object, and just messed up, man. But me personally, I think there's something to the rumors that she was taken out. But tell me what you guys think.